All three of the major truck brands in America have released huge discounts on their trucks over the last few months. So let's figure out which truck is the best considering they're now within reach. I'll include a link to the Sky, Ford, Ram, and Chevy and Provo's websites in the description down below. Just a quick side note, the Millers sold all three of these stores to Salt Lake Valley. They've renamed them to Sky, Ford, Ram, and Chevy in Provo. So I'll still be filming with them, just new ownership. So anyways, website's in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering the Ram is a turbo 3-liter inline 6 that goes through an 8-speed, puts out 420 horsepower and 468 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy is 17 around town, 24 on the highway. Chevy has the turbo diesel 3-liter inline 6 that goes through a 10-speed. Fuel economy is 22 around town, 26 on the highway, with power outputs being 305 horsepower, 495 pound-feet of torque. Ford has a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 paired to a hybrid and a 10-speed. Fuel economy is 22 around town, 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 430 horsepower and then 570 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Now the Ram we're using in this comparison is a Laramie with a sport package. The Silverado is a high country with its blackout package. And then finally the Ford is a Lariat also with its blackout package. Now you note that the Ford has recovery points and fog lights, so does the Chevy. The Ram is only equipped with fog lights. So as you can see, they all have a distinctive appearance, but feature-wise, pretty similar so far. Tire wheel setup on the Ram is 275 by 55 by 20. The Chevy is 275 by 60 by 20. And then the Ford is also 275 by 60 by 20. Now if we look at the side of the Ford, we can see it's got fixed side steps. It's a crew cab with the shorter bed. And it also comes equipped with leaf springs. Now the Silverado is sandwiched in the middle, so I can't really show you guys the side profile, but it actually has power side steps. Just like the Ford, it has leaf springs. And then the Ram's kind of the oddball because no side steps, but then it has a longer bed compared to the other two. And not only that, the Ram is coil sprung. When it comes to bed features, the Ford has an outlet, no bed liner or LED lights, so a little bit more basic. But because the tailgate doesn't have a tailgate step, it's actually pretty light. Now the Silverado gets LED lights, it also gets an outlet, and it has protection from the factory. And this thing is mega fancy pants because the tailgates actually power with the up operation. LED lights to the Ram, but no bed liner, so kind of like the Ford. And then just like the Chevy, it's supposed to auto raise up. There we go. Now for the rest of the Ford, you can see nice painted elements. You've got dual outlet exhaust tips too. The Silverado is similar, but then it also has bumper steps in the rear, which adds to the practicality. And then the Ram is kind of like the Ford with the dual outlet exhaust tips, but no bumper steps or anything like that. But you can step on the bumper easily. That'll sum things up for the exteriors of all three of these trucks. Let me know which one you like the best so far. In the back of the Ford, I've got plenty of legroom, little storage pocket, cup holders, heated seats, vents, charge ports. And look at these seats. There's really nice trim, especially down the center where it's perforated. Now in the back of the Chevy, tons of room just like the Ford. Also have a little storage pocket. We've got cup holders, heated seats, charge ports as well. And I will say the Chevy seats are a little bit fancier. They have this little kind of storage compartment there in the seat and then just kind of nicer stitching and everything. Legroom in the Ram is also good. Again, storage pocket, cup holders here in the center, heated seats, USB ports, full outlet. And I think the Ram seats are the fanciest looking in terms of the style. Same thing with the door panel. And it does also help that when you pick up the mat here, you've got ice bucket storage. Now the payload on the Ford is 1383. Chevy's payload is 1444. And then Ram's is 1454. Let's now take a look at the interior features of the F-150. Now being a fancy loaded up truck, it's going to have nice trim on the steering wheel, of course adaptive cruise control. We also have a big digital gauge cluster, and speaking of digital, we also have a heads-up display. This comes with a 360 camera system, good resolution too. Giant infotainment system with everything nicely labeled, so it's very user-friendly. Fancy trailer backup system, trailer brake controls. We also have our drive line select. This does have four-wheel auto as well as low, and a rear locking differential. Heated and ventilated seats, dual zone climate, and a heated steering wheel. And underneath here, we have a phone charging pad. Quite a bit happening in this little center area. This is kind of cool with the fold-out function. And then good storage space inside. We also have two glove boxes which help out with storage on top of that. And then of course this has a giant sunroof. Let's now check out the interior of the Silverado. Now this actually comes equipped with Super Cruise, which is a pretty nice self-driving feature. Nice trim all around. Ford, you can get Blue Cruise, by the way. Now just like Ford, we've got a digital gauge cluster and we've got a heads-up display. We also have a 360 camera system with this truck. Big infotainment system, easy to use, everything's nicely labeled, and then they actually give you quite a few physical controls for shortcuts to different items below that. Trailer brake controls, and then we've got our dual zone climate with heated and ventilated seats. Center console area actually looks somewhat similar to the Fords, but yeah, giant center console with the phone charging pad, outlet and everything. Nice trim, and then you've got more storage with the 2 glove boxes. Camera rear view mirror, which is a big upgrade, and then this actually just has a regular sunroof, not a panoramic. Let's start up the Ram. Now Ram has its own kind of self-driving, this little steering wheel icon is for nice trim, just like the other two around the steering wheel. Fully digital gauge cluster. Ram has finally popped into the modern world, right? This also has a 360 camera system, just like the other two. Giant infotainment system, more physical controls, I would say, because you've got like climate controls on the other side. But I do have quite a bit built into this screen, and everything is easy to use, quick to respond. We've got an advanced 4-wheel drive system, just like the other two. I forgot to go over that in the Chevy. The Chevy has 4-wheel auto, by the way. Sorry for not showing that in the video, but they're all the same on that front. Not just 1, but 2 phone charging pads and tons of USB ports, and you've got the sliding center console, and yeah, I mean, this whole setup is really nice. Not as much glove box storage because this has a screen there in the center, and then we've got a panoramic sunroof. The Ford stickers are about $75,000. Right now, Ford's discounts are the second biggest from what I've seen on average. The Silverado also stickers are about $75,000. Chevy's discounts seem to be the lowest, but you can also tell that they're offering more truck for the MSRP, right? This is a high country, not even an LTZ, so that could be indicative of why they don't have as big of a discount, because you're getting more truck for the money. Anyways, Ram stickers are about $78,000, highest MSRP, but right now, from what I've seen on average, Ram has the biggest discounts out of the bunch. Let's see which of these trucks performs the best. Ram first. Getting some warnings in the Ram. Don't worry. Typical ownership experience. I'm just kidding. I've owned a few Rams, and well, I now own another Jeep again. And you know, with all the American brands, they just, the computer systems sometimes they just they like to malfunction every so often. It is what it is, not a big deal. So I love how the new Ram drives. You don't really suffer that much on payload capacity. On a half-ton doing coil springs, still has pretty solid payload capacity. And so you get this super smooth ride, and that powertrain, this inline-6, super smooth as well. It's a very nice pairing when you put the two together. And Ram is obviously bringing back the Hemi for the 26 model year, so I'm excited to compare the Hemi again to the inline-6. But yeah, this powertrain is just phenomenal. It's got great low-end torque, and then it's got, oh, so much top end. It is just such a quick, wonderful powertrain. It's really solid in a pickup truck. The only critique that people have on this is, or you know, possible critique, is they're wondering if it's reliable. If it's reliable, like, this beats out Ford and Chevy by a long shot when it comes to the powertrain performance. And then just the rest of the truck's really nice. The one thing that I will say is Ram is kind of nickel and diming you for everything. Like, you look at the Chevy, and the Chevy's offering all the features the Ram has and more for a little bit less money. So I think Ram should consider kind of condensing the packaging and, you know, taking out some gimmicks like the passenger screen to save cost on the vehicle. Because I'm like, that passenger screen, like, how many people are actually going to buy that, right? Or use that, rather. But the Ram, super luxurious, super comfortable, like, good insulation, just a nice truck with how it drives. So let's go pop into the Chevy. Hi-ho, Silverado away. We got two inline-6s. One's a diesel, one's gas. Kind of an interesting pairing. I wish that more truck makers would consider doing inline-6 for their powertrain. I think that V6s are, well, I was gonna say, I think that they're kind of easier to engineer, but at the same time, inline-6s are not very complex. And they're just better. But what I will say is, I think that it is somewhat, like from what I've seen with some reliability issues with some inline sixes, it's like it can be pretty catastrophic and easy to really mess up on an inline six, whereas a V6, it seems like it's a little bit easier to, they're a little bit more forgiving potentially. Now this doesn't have nearly as much power as the Ram, but it is incredibly smooth. A little bit of lag there. Yeah. So it's got great low end torque, but there is a little bit of lag with the pedal there that the Ram doesn't have. So although I think this is more appealing in some ways because it's a diesel, not super fond of that lag. Not a deal breaker though. Very comfortable for a leaf sprung truck. I prefer how the Ram drives out of these two so far. So we've got to question the reliability of that engine. But again, I do like the fact that Chevy offers more features for the same amount of money. I think that adds a lot of value. But let's go cap things off by popping in the Ford. Hybrid is interesting. It's silent. And now the engine's on. Just a regular hybrid, so doesn't have a crazy amount of range in EV mode. I would say the F-150 does drive the most car-like out of the bunch. It's very smooth. I still prefer the Ram's rear suspension, but this is good. This has got a great amount of torque. I don't like the power delivery on this. Like you can just, seriously, if you don't believe me, go and drive a V6 F-150 back to back with either a diesel Silverado 1500 or a Ram with the Hurricane, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This is just not as smooth. It's good, it's got good power. It just just not nearly smooth. I don't think I'd ever, like, now that I've reviewed so many cars, I don't think I'd ever want to own a turbo V6. And again, well, have I ever owned a turbo V6 actually? Now I think about it. I've had inline sixes. Yeah, because I had a Bronco Raptor that had the turbo V6. And an F-150 Raptor that had turbo V6. Man, you guys know I got a car problem when I have owned so many cars I can't remember powertrains. So Ram has the biggest discounts, like I said. It kind of makes the Ram the best value out of the bunch. I really do. Like, I'm not a brand loyalist. I really am not. I just like whichever vehicle looks the best, drives the best, has the best performance, all of that. And the Ram's really good. I think the Ram has stupid gimmicks like the passenger screen. They need to get rid of that. But outside of that, it is a nice truck. It drives well. It looks good. So Silverado is still the best value. Ford is in between. And when you compare MSRP to MSRP, but when you do the discounts, the Ram is very, very strong. Let me know your thoughts.